Hey everyone, welcome back. First things first, thanks to everyone who's been liking, sharing, subscribing. It's been really good to see. Today we're doing sample packs, so we're doing a sample pack review. I do master sample packs, not many at all, but this one I think deserves a shout. So big shout out to Dubmatics and Dan and the Totally Dubwise gang. We're doing this pack, wherever it'll show up on YouTube. Dub2Jungle 2 Part 2. So it's all gone through all my gear when I mastered it. So it's analog samples, obviously in digital format. So it has a nice, warm, fat flavour, but it's not that. That's why I want to review it. It's because I think it's a really cool pack for like learning about jungle, how melodies fit together, guitar, skanks, and pianos, and how they all fit. It's really well produced by the guys. It's a great sort of inspiration tool for getting ideas for jungle, drum bass, lovers rock, reggae, ragga. It's really varied, really cool. So I'm gonna review it. I'm gonna flip through all the sounds. I'm gonna play a little track that I'm working on with some of the samples and how you might maybe or might not put them together in your tracks. You can hear the quality of them and how you can get ideas off it. There'll be a demo of the pack as well in the comments as well. A free demo pack with the samples. I think it's about 1.4 gig the full pack. So there's hundreds of samples. It took me a long time to master it, but yeah, they sound great. So the thing about samples in a sample pack, when you get a sample pack off an artist, they already sit here like I do and they mix it and master it and process it and that. So one of the cool things to show you is that you don't have to go heavy on the processing. So for instance here, like I've got an aim in here, and you can see on the aiming track here, there's nothing really going on. So I have an aiming, and look at that, just take off some of the roll off because I'm using it as a sort of a layer. And then in the channel strip, we've got some compression just to control things, and that's just literally. I'm not saying every single sample pack and every single sample which is in a sample pack should be like that, but it just helps to know that when someone's done a sample pack, no matter who it goes out through, you have to sell it, so it has to be a certain quality. So we've spent time getting things right so that you can use it. You can just go, oh, I like that break, and then throw it in. And then you can just use it to taste because you can't over-process samples. Now, if you're doing it creatively, that's fine, and that's to get, a certain sound. I don't know, maybe like sound design type stuff, but when using breaks, beats, and snares, and kicks, and basses, we've processed them already, and so it's just for you to then, oh, that's a cool bass, put it in, and then just do some tweaking. Yes, you can have distortion and maybe some chorus and stuff like that, but compression and, subtractive EQ, that'll be your friend here, just to make things sit and fit. One of my subscribers asked about mixing jungle elements together, and I'm definitely going to do a whole episode on that. But in this one here, you can get some of that vibe as well, especially with like a sample pack. How would it get to fit, and how will you get layers to fit together? Because obviously not every single sample is going to work together because they're all totally different elements. And because of like this pack, for instance, I'm using some of the pack and using some of my own, so it's mixing the elements together as well. Like some of my old samples that came from years ago, I haven't used this current gear to master with. So without waffling on too much, let's get right into it. So, for those that don't know, in Cubase, you can actually have the file browser in the media bay. So this is a good. Back in the days, I used to just drag and drop in and play it on Windows Media Player and all these other things. And Winamp, for those who remember, Winamp, loved Winamp. The skins were amazing. Anyway, so yeah, in Cubase it's really convenient now. You can actually just open your file browser. You can browse from a USB stick, desktop, or all your hard drives, and literally just tag them, rate them, and that. So here's the pack. You can see it's categorized: bass notes, bass, drum hits, all that kind of stuff. So let's listen to some of the sounds. I'm going to play this track that I'm working on. Then I'm going to show how I mix all these elements together and what kind of processes I did with them, and how I put this kind of groove together with the samples. So bass notes, okay. So there's all that bass notes. So for Cubase users, the cool thing about the media bay system is it's always rating and tagging, so it's almost like metadata that you can put in your samples. You can even put them in categories and groups, rate them 1 to 5 stars, file type, everything. So here you can see here I've rated this one here because it's like, okay, I know I want to use that in the track, which I'll show you in a second. So let's just have a quick audition. That's a nice one. Love that. Punch, Oh, I like that one. So that's the thing. See, if you like a sample, you just rate it. So I rate it 5 stars, so then I can then choose to go back and sort it by rating at the top here. I can then say, okay, let's sort it by rating. And now I can say, okay, it's on my 5-star basis, on my 4 stars, or whatever. So it just helps you if you're working on a particular track, like I am on this one. I can just quickly then say, okay, which bases can I use? And then I can see which ones I really liked. So I really like that immediate bass, to be honest. But yeah, look at all the tons of bass sounds. Really nice. On C notes as well. And that's the cool thing about having a constant C note. This is an old thing from way back in the days, the jungle days, is we used to sample at C3, or sometimes C2, and just do the long note. Now, when you sample along the note, it means you can then do stuff like LFO and stuff like that. Obviously, now you can just do loads of other tricks like looping a certain section and all that kind of stuff. But back in the days, due to all the old techniques, we literally just get the longest note you can at C, and then you have the ability then to maybe LFO it over time and stuff like that. Just another trick, but it's stuck in my head to actually just sample a long note now. So my sample packs that are coming, I have some sample packs coming this year. You'll hear the bass notes are all like C3 or C2, and it's just constant notes, because I feel like you can get more out of it then, especially if it's sound design stuff. But yeah, so some good ones in here. Yeah, I really like that one. And that reminds me of trailer music. You know, you hear trailer music and then like a crazy bit comes in and it goes, So yeah, that's a really cool one. I mean, you could actually use that in something like that. Let's move along. So we have the brass section. And these are instruments that the guys have put together. They've actually recorded instruments and stuff like that. So they've really been really creative with it. This is why I wanted to show it. It's a really, really, really good pack. Oh, that's me, yeah. I like that one. And these have all gone through my gear, so they've actually been they've gone through the Prometheus EQ, some of them have gone through the Hyperion, some of them have gone through the Very Mu. Like the basses, for instance, they've all been fattened up through the Very Mu, so they get that kind of fixed sort of weighty analog bass sound, which is really good. That's what I like it as well, because now with myself, I know that this bass is ready to roll. It's got the weight there, it's got the fatness there, it's gone through a Very Mu valve unit. If you see my other episode in the other channel about the Wes Audio Very Mu, you can see what it does to basses, especially sub basses, and that's what they've done. That's what I've done on here with the basses when I've done the pack for the guys. So, but these are cool. These are all elements that you'll put together in a category of maybe a jungle track. Well, pretty much a jungle track, but it can be anything, to be honest. There's no rules, but it is actually a jungle pack, you know, with that in mind. So you'll have your bass, you'll have your brass, you'll have your combi instruments, your guitar, your melodic, skanks, pianos, and obviously your break beats. Then you have the hits, then you have the bass. So everything's in there. Look, it's all categorized perfectly for you. Combi instrument loops. Nice. Perfect riffs. So these are really cool building blocks and elements for getting that kind of jungle sound. You know, you might want a vocal over that and then a bass to match that and stuff like that. And obviously the software now we have, you can put things in key and mix them together and transform that into MIDI and stuff like that. So you can really get good bass starting points for riffs as well. And of course, royalty free, right? So drum hits, I remember these well. The bongos are really good. I use them quite a lot, especially these ones here at the top. Yeah, they're really good. Claps. Congas. It's a nice conga, isn't it? Crashes. Nice. A cool trick for you that I used to do many, many moons ago, due to limited resources of memory, RAM and all that kind of stuff, was you see that crash there? You can actually reverse it. So you actually get a sweep and a crash together. So I always used to do this quite a lot. Have the same crash, and then later down the line have the same crash but just reverse the audio, and then you get a sweeping crash. So it goes a sweeping crash into the main crash, just using the one crash by duplicating it. Old trick from the sampler days that we used to do. Yeah, saving resources, but it still works now really, because then you can have your crash having the same uniform sound as the sweep, you know, so it doesn't have you're not EQing trying to fit a sweep crash into a main crash. It's like it's the same crash. So once you EQ the crash and process the crash, back to back, reverse into the normal crash, fine, works perfect. So a little cool trick for you there. That's a nice one. That's definitely that's something I always draw for, like just them short sort of splashy ones. Nice. Yeah, love that. So reverse it, yeah, reverse that all day, that would work. Okay, let's move on. I know you want to hear this one. This is the fun one. So the breaks, I mean, there's not many of them, but they're all fat. So you'll hear them and get inspired straight away. And this is what it's about when we're doing jungle. You want jungle breaks, a vibe straight away. Yep, get the vocalist in. Yeah, I can run a bass line on that. So these are all live ones. Yeah, I really like that one. Yeah, really good. Nice edits, guys. Nice edits. Doing a choppage break and editing it and pitching it and getting it, it's not easy. It's time consuming to get it authentic and right and chopped right and sound as good as that. It takes work to get it sounding good. Yeah, and fat, and it does. It sounds fat. I would use that in a track tomorrow. Nice. It's a good one. One of my favourites. I call that the Chronic break because Brian's label and Frost's label, Chronic Recordings, when it originally its inception, this is what it was about. These kind of jungle breaks, wicked, just like breaks rolling over some sub, and yeah, straight away I'm like, yeah, okay, I can get a vibe down. So hopefully you'll get that kind of flavour as well. Wanting to get a nice vibe, nice jungle track rolling. Good starting points, really good starting points. It wouldn't be jungle without Eamon. Yeah, I really like that one. Cool. I could listen to breaks all day. I'm a breakbeat person. That's my world. I could just listen to old hip hop breaks and beats albums and from all the stuff from back in the days. I just love breakbeats. Any tempo, preferably slower, but once you speed them up, you know, you get a nice vibe as well. So I just love breakbeats. Really nice. Yeah, there's a nice vibe with that one. Proper jungle. I'm also a fan of that gated kind of style as well. I'll always kind of get my breaks and gate them just to make them a bit more scatty and a bit more, you know, a bit more funk in them. Like from a static break, a bit of gating will work wonders. I'll show that as well at some point. So you get the idea. So, you know, there's other loops in here as well. Dancehall and dub loops. Great for an intro. Or even a breakdown. Really nice. Loads of spot effects. I mean, this is the meat and bones of, like, you know, your jungle sounds. You want them drops and lasers and bleeps and sirens, all that kind of stuff coming in. Yeah, there's loads of these. I've already been A-rating a few because there's so many. But have a quick listen. I've used this in a track, you'll hear it in a minute. Yeah. Really good. Guitar hits. All the little plucks there, there's full loops of guitars as well. If you're hearing the ice cream man, nothing I can do about it. He comes at this time every day for the last probably 15 years, so you can't edit that out. I'm keeping it real. So organ bubbles as well. These are cool. Finally, well, second to last, percussion and fills. Really nice. Oh, I do love a good shaker. Yeah. Yeah, it's really nice. And finally, piano loops. Yeah, I like that. So you get an idea. So that's everything in there that you want to create a track. Obviously, you're not going to pick every single element, like for the recipes and stuff. You're going to pick out what you like in there. And for me personally, I love the breaks and I love the basses, but I also like stuff like that little piano and the guitar center fills. Nice little extra things with some delay. You can really flesh out a track. But yeah, the breaks and the bass, definitely love them. And so yeah, a great pack that I wanted to show you. Not just because I mastered it, because I don't master many packs anyway, but because it works, it fits really well if you want to do jungle, you want to do drum and bass. You know, it's great elements in there. And of course, it went through some really cool gear to give it that natural sort of fat sound, which I would love back in the days to have a pack that went through that, literally back in my days, without sounding like a dinosaur. We're stamping off breaks and stuff, and that's fat, but then we had no gear like this to put through. You know, I could put through a valve, then that valve goes through an EQ, then it goes through the desk, then it goes through my distortion units, and so on and so on. And then I put that in a pack, and now, you know, everyone gets the benefit, and that's what it's about. Sharing the love. So let's go. Here's the track. It's still in progress with a few edits and stuff, but you'll get the idea. Quick play of the track up to a point, and then we'll deconstruct it, and I'll show you how I'll put the samples in here from Dub2Jungle Part 2 from Totally Dubwise and Dubmatics. make sure I take that off so we're not doubling over. And go back to loops and samples. So you get the idea, let's go to the drop.
Oh yeah, this! Street violence!
I love rollers. I just love it. Rolling breaks, rolling sub, rolling breaks, rolling sub. Yeah, that's my vibe. That's what I do. So yeah, it's got a few more edits to do and add some more stuff to it. It's kind of like a vibe of an old track that I did remix ages ago, years ago. And I'm just trying to make it more fleshed out, more nowish, sort of with like Dub2Jungle Part 2 and a few other elements and newer plugins, newer samples, newer sounds. But I'm happy so far. The mix is coming together as well. So let's break it down. Obviously, I have my aiming. If you heard some of my tracks, recent-ish tracks, I have my sort of aiming running in a lot of things. Let me cycle up these markers. So I have my aiming. It's going through Groove Agent. Loads of Groove Agent videos around. I've got a couple up on myself. Dom's done some. There's on the Steinberg site. We've done loads of videos on Groove Agent. So if you need to know more, there's also one that I did 2 episodes back on drum layering, how to get layered sounds with it. This is my go-to VST for drums. Absolutely, I absolutely love this this instrument. It's amazing what it can do. So yeah, if you want to check them out, I don't know how you do it on here. Does it go there? I don't know how you pin it. I don't know. I'm quite new to all this. Anyway, so yeah, this is always for drums. I always go to it. It's my go-to. Really simple. Eamon's chopped up on here. Let's have a look at the edit channel. So you can see here it's got some stereo enhancement. And this is a cool plugin in Cubase. It's been here for a long time. What's cool about it is you can actually just switch it to mono. So if you need to check anything in mono, you can actually grade to just make a sound mono. But obviously it's more about enhancement with this. And between the delay and the color, they give a correlation between the left and right channels, and then that gives the emphasis on it being stereo and how much wide it can go. It's really good on breaks. It works really, really well. Some parallel processing. It's going through an EQ and then a compressor. This is the Yamaha 260. It's based on the hardware that I had years ago. Nice little plugin. Really works really, really well. Normal EQ, some envelope shaping, and that's it really. If you look at the equalization, look at that, a little bit of roll off, and this is what I'm saying about breaks. Like, this is processed already. It doesn't need that much doing to it. This one here is from the pack. So let's open it up. So a nice little aim in that. This is off the Dub2Jungle pack that we previewed a minute ago. So the cool thing about Groove Agent is you can select all pads, or you can select them manually. And here's what I did here. I select all pads, and then I pitched it down 7 semitones. So this gives it that vibe that it can work with the other aiming, which is more sort of solid and high pitched. Then you have the lower aiming together, and this is what one of my subscribers was asking about. How do I mix the elements together? And this is what you would do. You probably wouldn't have 2 aimings high pitched running together. You'd have a lower one doing some sort of mid work, and then one with the sort of top range, sort of, you know, the sizzle, the sheen, the shine, pushing towards that category. And then it's just a case of EQing the elements together to making them fit, a bit like Lego, to be honest. So yeah, I'm going to show this in a proper episode. Jungle A to B. and then C or whatever. The whole process of mixing the elements, start to finish. So just to show you quickly how that's done, here's the track, here's the aiming, sorry. All paths selected. Already sound like jungle, but with this other aiming on top, listen to them together. And you see now they're kind of like, they go in the same direction, but they're doing two different things. They're almost on two different levels. That's what gives you the sort of big, sort of fat, wide aiming vibe, and that would sound quite good in a big environment, you know, like a rig or something, or a festival. That's laid with another break, so let's have a look at the EQ on that first. You can see here, so this is the Dub2Jungle 2 aiming, and you can see here, look, that's it. A bit of compression on there, just to tame the transients a bit, because remember, it's already mixed, it's already mastered, it's gone through all my gear, and that's what really, realistically, a strong break out of sample pack should be like. You shouldn't have to put loads of stuff on it unless you're giving it a flavour, you know, like a distortion, or I don't know, you want to eat Isers or something like that. That's cool. Or a nice reverb, you know, like Valhalla or something, and making it a bit bigger and spatial. But as far as actual processing and making it dynamics and making it sound dynamic, it's already been done before, most of the time. So you can see here, equalization has just rolled off because it's the other one's doing the heavy lifting, and there's another kick heavy break in a minute I'll show you, which is filling in this gap. So all this is not needed. So subtractive EQ and some compression, that's it. Auto makeup gain on, and literally you'll see it. Ratio of about 2, it's just taking off a little bit of the tops there of the aiming, that's fine, just so it's mixing a bit better. So yeah, like my subscriber asked recently, that's what you're doing. You're literally making things fit, like by not just throwing it all in together and layering the volumes, you're actually mixing the volumes, mixing the dynamics, and then doing subtractive EQ. We always say cut, not boost. Always cut, not boost. You're making room for things to fit into rather than boosting everything. When you boost everything, you end up in an avenue that you can't then get out of, and this is how you get mixed down version 1, 2, 3, 4, car mix, 10, final mix, final mix. That's why, because all your faders are like this on the desk, they're all maxed out because there's nowhere room to go. So that's why you start bringing, it's gain staging. I think Dom's got a really good video on there actually about gain staging, and that's what it's about, gain staging your mix as well as subtractive EQ. Cutting, not boosting, making room for things to fit in rather than turning that up and making that sound like it should fit. It might not sound appealing straight away, but once you start mixing different elements together, then you'll understand that you get a more cohesive sound. And here's like the meat break now. So you can see here now, this has got some stuff going on here now. So there's gating, and this is one of my breaks, like I've processed and stuff and gone through and rejigged around. So yeah, the lifting's in there, there's some EQ in there, there's some vintage compression, which is cool to add a bit of fatness to there, and there's some little peaks that I've pushed through. So that's what I was saying, like, you know, we're saying could not boost, because I've taken frequencies out of there, now I can put the ones that are missing. And, you know, it could work the same way too. If I want to invert that, you know, if there was too much in them frequencies, I would invert that, you know. And we have the masking EQ as well, don't forget, in Cubase, where you can actually watch two channels together and see how they work. And that works right across every channel, so you can actually then mirror and watch and monitor two EQ channels at the same time and see what's missing and what isn't. So that's another cool thing that I keep forgetting to show a lot of the time, to be honest, but it's a valuable tool to be able to see what, you know, if you have two snares maybe, or you have two breaks running, you can see what's giving more the low end energy and what isn't, and what can be. Or if they're both taking up low end energy, one can come away from that. You know, you can actually cut some of that down. So I'm going to re-invert the back, the peaks back, and not quite that. There we go. And not that either. Yeah, really nice. So this is two of the breaks now that I have from Dub2Jungle 2-pack. And what I've done is I've just literally used the audio and chopped up certain sections so they kind of vibe off each other, and it's in the intro, it's more prominent in the intro, so here we go. And I think that kind of works with this sort of reggae intro riff. So you're kind of getting that dung, dung of the piano at the end of the riff, coinciding with that sort of a patchy break. Yeah, really nice. I can listen to stuff like that for ages, just grooves and beats running. But we haven't got much time. So yeah, there's a SSL on here, which has a nice punch. There's a newer version of this one out now. SSL have revamped the GUI and stuff. I just like it. It's been there for years. I've had this from eons. This plugin from the old hardware. I don't know if anyone remembers Duende hardware. Yeah, so it's a nice little bit of punch. There's loads of plugins that can do that, and I'll show that again in another video. You know, for punch and stuff like getting fat stuff. But it's a good one that I can just throw on. I get an idea straight away. What's really cool here is it's going through this as well. So there's a multiband compressor here, and if you listen to this break, let me put it back here. If you listen to this break here, and in isolation, that sort of sharpness was always cutting through the mix and clashing with everything else. So it's about 5K. There. If I bypass this multiband compressor, you'll hear the difference. That sharpness there. And so when I had the breaks rolling, it really was cutting into the other breaks too hard. Can you hear it? It's kind of unpleasant. So this is the thing about again my other subscriber. So you might be stuck here thinking, oh, okay, how do I do that? So how do I turn it down? But then you lose the weight and volume and vibe of the break. Do you EQ it? Yes, you can do. Maybe even dynamic EQ to maybe an extent. But I would always say you want to control a certain peak, a certain frequency. For instance, Cubase uses multiband compressor. Been in there for, I think even Cubase 8.5, 8, this version of it. So great. What I love about it is the fact I can say, okay, I can hear it and I can see it. 5K is really, it's not fitting with everything else, and it's making all the breaks sound a bit off key. Does this one little peak at 5K? Yep. So now, if I turn on the multiband compressor, I can then choose to zero in on any frequency range, and you can turn other bands on or off as well. We go right across the 2020 spectrum. But I don't need any of that. I just want this 5K region. So this is what's really cool about this compressor. I can say, okay, give me 5K around there. I can turn the compressor on, change the knee, the slope, the ratio, the attack or the release. Leave the attack where it is because it's a break and want it to pick up straight away. The threshold obviously is the ceiling, how much is bringing the compression down. And then the ratio is the rate of compression. So you can see it there. It's physically showing you the knee of it, the curve of how it's going to be affecting. And it makes a massive difference. Let's have a listen. Open. Really good. I mean, that's probably too much now because you're using a bit of the sort of snap of the break, but then I bring it back a little bit more and we're good to go. Yeah, and that's how I do that. So looking at the other breaks here, the second one here, let's load it up. Same thing again. Some punch here, some reverb, frequency EQ, which is an awful lot. It's just great for, I don't know, it's kind of like a security measure. Like the channel EQ is great. It cuts off stuff and that, but I always then go to frequency EQ because it can cut and boost at extreme values. It's really transparent, linear phase. And so now I can actually just cut stuff and it's gone. And so it's just a habit. You can do it if you want to. But I like to use two EQs together to really cutting stuff out, taking all the mud out, because it can clutter your headroom, which will then eventually affect your mix, your pre-master and eventual master. If you send it to a mastering engineer, it makes things a lot more, you get better results, is what I'm saying. Especially if you're doing a long multi-track mix of elements, piano, strings, keys, vocals, layered breaks, stuff like that. The more you cut out and the more you make room for things, trust me, you'll get a much, much, much stronger result, much, much better mix. So there you go. And like I said before, there's not much processing now. Literally, this is me like cutting stuff out. I have this red EQ, so it's literally just adding a bit of sort of like mid to it. Got an air reverb. I got the air pack a long time ago. the Air Effects pack. So that's in there for a little bit of spring reverb, and then the drum strip for punch. So I wanted this break to really sort of fit in with the others, and so that's probably why it's probably got the most processing, but it's really light. If you look at the reverb, there's nothing really on there. There's like 12%. So it's just adding a slight bit of air. Frequency EQ, it's not boosting anything, it's cutting off stuff, which is what I'm saying about cutting, not boosting. And then the red EQs, you can see the mid there, I'm just pushing the mid through a bit more, just to get it fitting around this region, like between 200 and 1K. And then that little 5K, which was causing me some havoc, then I've also used, like in the other one there, multi-band compression. And then just all fit together, like we've shown. And because all the elements of the pack have gone through all my gear, they all have the same sort of uniform sound, which is cool as well. So if you are using two elements together from the same pack, like a kick and a snare, they'll have the same sort of fatness, which is cool. But it's not a given. You can always use whatever you want. But I'm just saying, like, if you wanted to maybe work out if a kick and snare work together from the same pack, they would probably sound quite similar, which is good. Same sort of fatness, same sort of depth. Right. Moving on, some of the spot effects here we've got in the drop. Yeah, that little sweep effect again. Look at this. Nothing. So with a sweep effect, of course, it comes in. It gets a bit gnarly, a bit unruly. It peaks up, then comes down. Most rises and sweeps. So really, just basic compression, just to control it. And you can see it here. Watch. Literally comes in and it's taming it. It's up to you what you do with that, as far as compressing it's concerned, but I like to just really control things and then change the volume. Usually, if you use the right amount of threshold, you don't have to use too much volume. You can stay at the same sort of level and weight, and then just control the peaks with your rate of compression and your threshold. Really cool. Okay, so spot effects. Yeah, compression just to control things. Really simple again. Look at the equalizer. Nothing on here. I've already rolled stuff off in the mastering phase, and then it's then it's going through this, which is really cool. I got this. When did I buy this? A few months ago. I just really like it. If you don't know about it, Air Delay from the Air team. Big shout out to the Air team. This is really good. We've got loads of creative delays in it. It's just, you can do dub type stuff, slapbacks. You've got effects returns type delays. You've got vocal delays, transition delays. It's really good. You can actually modulate loads of things in it. Diffusion, feedback, there's filters built inside it. There's an envelope filter inside it. You can even EQ the delay, which is crazy. And of course, anything Cubase as well, you can just right click and then you can actually start to modulate certain things automation wise as well. Really, really good plugin. So yeah, and you have digital and analog modes as well, depending on the behavior that you want and the sound that you want. Works really well for jungle, of course, especially in analog mode, which is what we love. And there we go. So obviously the next thing is obviously the bass. So let's solo the bass. Here's a little bass line that I made. Cubase uses a cool tip here. Don't forget on the right, you have what you can show the keys to be. So I think it comes in at default as velocity, which is great to be able to see velocity is what's louder and what's quieter, but I always go straight to pitch so I can see what notes, if I'm playing a bass line or making a beat and I've got chops, I can see what, the snare's there. Okay, the snare's green. Okay. Or in this one, for instance, all the higher notes are all purple. So yeah, it's just a little cool tip. But there's the bass line. Now the bass line is really, I love this way. It's easily done now because sample track, it's getting advanced all the time. But the core thing of what I wanted from a sampler is to be able to, from many years ago in Cubase, is to get a sample, throw it in, and expressively play it. Just like a sampler here, 950 or the Yamaha down there, or my other drum machines. I throw a bass in, and then start playing it expressively, and then maybe start processing it and treating it. Sample track's amazing for that. You literally just create a sampler, or just throw an audio track in the sampler lane. That's it. It's ready to play. And then the world's your oyster to be able to actually do all the processing and stuff like that. So because I already processed the bass, it's kind of fat and stuff like that, but I might want to add a bit more character to it. So in the sample track, the drive's really good. And it's here, and obviously don't forget here you have loads of filters as well. Tons of filters, but the drive is really good here. You just turn it on, it's about 16%, is that? So that gives it a bit more sort of grit and character. Let's solo it so you can hear what I'm saying. Hear what I'm saying? Yeah. I always like to push it. So about 16, it works really well. It's just, this drive is nice. If you ever have any basses and you have Cubase and you have sample track, try it. Just throw a sample in and start using the drive on its own. You'll hear what I mean. And obviously you can see the tube as well, like the tube saturation, the classic clip, bit reduction, and all that stuff. Leave it on tube, 24 low pass. Just turn up the drive and you'll hear it. It's so nice. Yeah, really good. So that bass then is the Dub2Jungle bass, one of the basses. I just literally just dropped it into the sample track. That's it, ready to roll. A little bit of drive, that's all I did. If I look at the edit channel here, you can see here, excuse me, it's Bit Crusher. I've shown this on my Jungle Sub episode. It seems like ages ago now. A few weeks ago. So this is great for adding harmonics. I love it. So you have the different modes of bit reduction, rate reduction, your sample divider, your mix knob, which is in a lot of our Cubase plugins, which is great to be able to do parallel processing. So you're not having to create an effect send and then route through it, which is still really easy to do now anyway. But it means that you can have the plugin up straight away and then mix the wet with the dry in one plugin. Your bit rate, so I can go from 12, 16, 8, and all that kind of stuff. And get a really kind of gnarly sound, and then just mix it to taste with the fader. We call that the talking bass. I just can't have sub without anything like this in it now. It just adds so much to it, and it's subtly as well. It doesn't clutter the mix, but it also means that you also get to hear the sub as well as feel the sub. I know dubstep used it quite a lot as well, like to really get the sound of it, especially hearing it off smaller devices like phones or like laptop speakers and stuff like that. It's great to be able to have the sub, but you can't really get them out of them kind of devices. So you put the harmonics on top of it to give you that sound. You can hear the sub, and then obviously when you come to your festival or rave or club or your car or whatever, then you feel the sub as well. So I think harmonics is always a good starting point to start adding to subs before you do anything like layering and adding mid basses and top basses and stuff. Try it with an harmonic bit crush plugin. There's millions of them. The Cubase one's really good. And there you go. So that's in there with some reggae samples and stuff and other loops, but you can see how they all really work together from this pack. Let's go to the drop. Close everything down. Tidy up a bit. And we're off. Yeah, so the vocal in there is out of a pack from ages ago. This isn't in the pack, but I just wanted something to just throw in for this sort of demo. Still working out if I'm going to keep it or not.
No, you this.
So there you go. So finally, what I'm up to here in the pack is the bongo elements. Like I said, I really like the bongo elements. Groove Agent again is your friend. Okay, so quickly showing you, if you're in Groove Agent and I say, okay, let's go back to the pack, for instance, and I'm going to go to the percussion and fills. Okay, cool. Just for example, so Cubase users, you hold Alt, and you can see here, I can select multiple different percussions. Groove Agent, you can just drag it across. The plus sign, I can add it to the pad. Bottom sign means I can replace it with a pad, but more importantly, the 3 solid blocks means I can do chromatically up the keys or the keyboard or the drum pads. So it's great to be able to get a whole selection of bongos and then make your own bongo kit. Just drag it into them pads here and populate it all the way up to 88 keys if you wish, and then you actually and then save that. That's what I do. Save that now as your percussion kit, because then when it comes to, for instance, you have a track, you go, I just want a little bongo, a little doo-doo-doo on there. You can just load up your percussion bank, your bongo bank, and then just start playing it expressively and working out what fits. This was such a pain back in the days because you'd actually have an audio file, the track and it didn't sit right, and take the audio file out, put it back in. Okay, that works. Now I've got to duplicate that throughout the whole track as audio. And now it's MIDI. You just place a key, right, drag it across, easily done. Swap it out on the fly, Groove Agent, swap it in and out the pad, process it on the pad, all in the same one instrument. So, yeah, I'm not going to drag it on the rock there because it'll mess everything up, but that's just what I wanted to quickly show you. And here I've got some little loose bongos running. Let's drop it in. And these I've not quantized because I wanted to keep a sort of loose feel. It'd help if I wasn't on the bass and I was actually on the bongos. Actually, leave the bass running so we get an idea. So here's the bongos. So they're a bit late, they're a bit late, they're a bit loose. I kind of like that for percussion because if you put it, if you really regiment it and put it like everything on key with your bongos, it sounds unnatural, especially with breakbeat and jungle type stuff. Jungle's like live drummers breaks, we're chopping them up, we're keeping the feel, we're keeping the swing, keeping the groove. So you want that with your bongos as well. You want it to be like, bongo players playing. They're a little bit loose and it just gives it a more funk and flavour. Now you can see here that these are a little bit off. So if I selected them all and I press Q, I can quantize. There you go. You see it go back on there, quantize, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to undo it. And you can see it just slightly shift. And that just gives it more of a feel. When you hear it with the rest of the breaks, it just kind of sits nicely. So there you go. So that is it. I mean, obviously there's more in this track, but I've been talking for a long time already now. So I hope you get an idea of this pack, which is a really cool pack. Down in the comments, let me know what you think of the pack, and it will be up there for download as well. There's a free demo. I'll have it down there so you can check it out. Lots of samples in there as well to get an idea of it. You can check it out, and then obviously you can check out the website, Totally Dubwise website. So big shout out to Dan. Dubmatics and all the gang. Dub2Jungle 2 is out now. Hopefully I'll do more sample pack reviews. I do get a few, but I don't master many at all. I do my own and one or two others. So I just wanted to show this one because I thought it was really cool. I'm using it right now, so in a track and future tracks. I love the breaks and I love the basses as well. So they're really pretty inspiring. So yeah, so let's sign off with a bit of this track again, and then I'll leave you to it, and then we'll back next week. Until then, peace.
Now hear this. Straight fire.
Dub2Jungle.